One of the problems I've discovered teaching middle school science, especially physics, is there's a lot of great things, a lot of great labs and activities I want kids to do, but there are a lot of obstacles. Sometimes the lab, there just isn't enough space to set up all the carts, the tracks, etc. to do motion experiments. Or we just don't have the equipment to run that kind of lab. Or the data takes forever to gather, and I'm more interested in analyzing the data with the kids and drawing some conclusions from scientific data rather than spending days trying to collect that data in a laboratory situation. So I needed something that would help me show kids how to collect data in a scientific manner or to analyze data from a scientific study that's already been done. And so, because of Heidi Rudolph, I've discovered Gizmos. And I'll show you what they are. This is a paid site that we can access. If you're nice to Dr. Devers here, maybe he'll let you access it. Let me type this in here. I'll show you just a quick sample of what my kids have been working on. Okay, on the Explore Learning, or what we call the Gizmo website, you can create classes, and so to maximize usage, we just had the whole 8th grade set up by last name. But when they log in as a student, they see all the gizmos that we've been working on, or I want them to see or use, either in the class. We're going to do this as a classroom exercise, and everybody's working on laptops, and what's great about that is it's independent. So you can be working alone as a student because they're very guided and very easy to use, and kids like them because it's really right up their alley with technology. They can work in partners, or I've used it on the smartboard, and I've been able to show kids how to gather data or do a scientific study where it's too difficult for them to do independently because there's too many concepts that they'll totally miss if they do it independently. So we'll throw it up on the smartboard. So one of the things that we teach in 8th grade science, the physics unit, is Newton's laws, and first and second law seem to be very difficult for kids to understand. So with this gizmo here, it's a, is there a way to diminish that, give me more screen? I mean, like get rid of your bar. Get rid of that bar. Okay. I'm not a PC user, sorry folks. Okay, this is a fan cart gizmo. So this would be great to do in the classroom and let kids have all their own fan carts and set them up, but there's no space. You can't do a 200 centimeter run and have all the equipment in the space to do it. So when we study Newton's first law, objects in motion stay in motion unless acted on by an unbalanced force, this is great because the unbalanced force acting on the cart is the fan, and I can set it to a low, medium, or high speed, and we can look at how a force causes an object to accelerate and continue to accelerate. See, in the real world, we deal with friction. So if I push something across the classroom floor, it comes to a stop. So kids think that things just stop eventually. That's just nature. But in Newton's laws, it's clear that the only reason it stops is an unbalanced force. So how do you remove the force of friction so that kids can appreciate that Newton wasn't nuts? That, yeah, things will keep moving forever unless acted on by an unbalanced force. This gizmo lets us see this. Now, I have a fan cart that I show the kids as a class, but to capture data on that fan cart, we can do it right here. And so we can set this thing in motion and let it run, and we can look at how the speedometer on the lower right is increasing speed. Kids know that that's acceleration, and then we can appreciate that if we increase the fan speed, more force, more acceleration, don't have to worry about friction. Or I can introduce friction. I can have none, I can have a different surface, and kids can appreciate how the surface lends itself to a greater coefficient of friction. And then, what's nice is we can look at Newton's second law. What is the relationship between force and mass and how those two impact acceleration? So I can put different objects on the cart, drag them over to increase the mass of the cart. And we can do it interactive with the kids saying, all right, what do you think is going to happen with the cart and why? How does that relate to Newton's law? Something we can't really do very well in a totally independently run classroom laboratory. So this has been great. The kids love it. And what's great is, if we were to do this with real equipment in the classroom, and there's 4,000 gizmos on this website, both math and science-based, if we do a lab in the classroom about Newton's laws, and they're absent, how do you make that real-world learning experience available to them? It's over. Well, the great thing is I can post a gizmo and say, you weren't here for what we did in the real world in the classroom, but this is a close approximation, check it out. And what's great is for teachers, instead of reinventing the wheel, there are lesson materials for these gizmos. And so you can pull up in either Word or PDF and then post them to progress books so the kids can download them and do them themselves or to your web page. And these worksheets are great. They're teacher tested. They show the kids not only how to use the gizmo itself and master that, but then to understand the science behind the gizmo that they're looking at. And it's just been, it's changed the way I've been able to interact with my kids, and I think it's great. So Matt, you're going to get a lot of phone calls. Show me the money. But so that's gizmos, and I'll let you get that back.